Hey, welcome back. This is Klark Brown, Restoration Advisors and Disaster Podcaster. We are picking back up where we left off last episode on part one of a two-part series about AI use in real world, making and saving a lot more money in restoration. We're going to kick it off again with Sean Michael Lewis with Tier Level Marketing and, of course, the always incredible Toby Clem. We're going to start at the very beginning with where a little bit of we left off so we can lead into the new part. If you haven't checked out part one, go back into Disaster Podcasters playlist. Check it out. It's a good episode. It's going to complement this one very well. Enjoy it. Leave your comments. Let us know what you like, what you're doing, and what we can talk about next time. Take care.
Here's where we said the next thing I want to talk about is you threw out a number of 95% of estimates never get a response, not rejected, just silence. I want to know, why is that happening, and what does AI do about that? You mentioned that you were pretty dead set on some pretty good conversation around it.
Yeah, and that stat was one that I personally have seen with clients that I work with. And what I meant by that stat was 95% of estimates are being sent out the same way. They're not humanized. It's a cut and paste template. The Xactimate estimate is put in place. So the first thing anybody listening can do just to get better at it is to use a program like Claude, Manus. If you're sold on ChatGPT, you can go ahead and do this. But for the love of God, tell ChatGPT, Claude, you can go in the instructions of any project folder you create, or even in your settings, and tell it how you want it to sound when it makes output. Don't put those AI long dashes in there, which every one of us can tell is a lazy man's approach to using AI. So every AI platform, first thing I do is I go in there and say, do not make any of this output say, have AI tendencies or common practices. The second part is I want it to have a human tone. And if I don't know how to describe that human tone, I make the AI platform I'm on ask me 5 or 10 questions on how I should describe my tone. So again, if you don't know something, ask, and it'll walk you through that process. But yeah, I see this over and over again. I call my clients, I say, send me the last 5 estimates you sent out. And then how many of them were not responded to? Well, none of them were responded to. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I read the emails, and you can see why. You send somebody an email with a 25,000 total line item at the bottom and all this other knowledge or line item they don't understand. And then your competitor sends them one for $15,000, and they don't understand that they're going to get addendums and other things added through the process just to get that competitive bid in, even though it's an insurance claim. They're not understanding and creating the human connection there, like Toby mentioned. So I can tell you right now, the first thing you need to do is, before you send any estimate, upload the Xactimate estimate or your P&L charts or Excel document into an AI tool and say, how do I communicate this best to my customer? Do not sound like an AI agent. And then it will start writing it out in simplistic form. You don't need a long explanation. You explain, this is the estimate, but please give me a call and I will come on site and I will walk you through. The number of that 95%, Clark, was people that send an estimate and don't physically follow up to walk them through the estimate too. There was a lot of discrepancies in those numbers. So they would send the estimate and just wait to hear back. And then they would never even follow up in most cases. So why are they not? Oh, go on,
I have a question for you. When we're talking estimates, that's obviously a very catchy word. Mm-hmm. Are we talking estimates for work that we need to be done? Not, obviously you are talking about work you're trying to bid to do, but a lot of jobs, where emergency services, you're going in at the very beginning. I think that people struggle with the idea. I know Toby and I teach this a lot, and so do a lot of other people, the ability to put together those initial ROMs, those initial estimates for budgeted numbers for what they see. But you're talking about putting in estimates. And also, I think it's certainly important to clear here. Our industry sees sometimes 2 different clients. They see their customer, the homeowner, business owner, and then they see the insurance company, who is not your client, but that is who they submit estimates to. And sometimes, appallingly, they do that without sharing it with the homeowner, business owner. And so I'd like you to dive into, does that change this plan at all, knowing that our industry
Oh my gosh. Yes. And and I can speak at this exact topic from about 15 different angles. So I'm gonna hit a couple right here. But you're absolutely right. Emergency service should always have close to 100% closing rate because it's typically work, especially in the commercial space. There's water in a retail facility or a church or a hospital, and it has to be taken care of because secondary damage is not an option. But then you have the people that call, maybe it's a house fire, maybe it's something that, they're already dislocated, so they have to go through the process with filing with their insurance. But I just had a job with a client the other day that came in that wasn't insured, and the house has smoke damage, but it's not totaled, or it's just a different set of circumstances. Right now, the client wants to sell the house and cash out because it's paid off. So a lot of different angles, but what I'm talking about primarily is the water jobs that come in and they're not wanting to do the emergency services, or maybe that water was sitting for a month and there's already mold growing and they need an estimate for the repairs, and they need an estimate to come in and actually fully dry and stabilize the situation. And then it gets into the other dynamic of the insurance companies. So what I'm sure you guys are aware of, I know you work heavily with independents, but you're also very adept with franchise systems as well. But for instance, I work with one of the large franchise systems, and they have national accounts. If you just as much say something negative about the policies under that national account, you could be removed from that program. That's how bad it's getting right now, even in the franchise world. And what I hate, and again, I'll speak about this publicly, I don't care if it pisses companies off, but you've got people in the corporate office working these national deals by the pennies, instead of actual restorers that do the work and want to offer the best quality and service possible. So now I've got clients that have to abide by these bullshit protocols that aren't the right way to really do it, according to the industry standards that we all believe and follow to do things right. And now if they so much get one step out of line and tell the customer they don't have to do that, that adjuster will actively work to remove you from that job, whether they can do it or not. And we know they don't have the ability to do that, but they pretend that they can do that. So that's a real
issue. That's a real issue. And that's where that's when your integrity comes in, and your brand. It can definitely, I think my grandfather used to tell me, Sean, you can spend 20 years building your reputation and you can spend 5 minutes ruining it. And sometimes that just becomes not treating a category 3 or not removing porous material can not only come back to you in a legal liability way, but it can also get you around town as like being the one that bends the rules when it means a few dollars extra in your pocket. Hey, let me ask you a question of what I heard there. From using an estimate and a proposal with AI, and a little bit of what I heard from Toby. And I think, we teach a course and a program around the country called client onboarding, which gives you an opportunity to have a very personal sit down with the customer and uncover their concerns, their predisposed beliefs about things. And again, I think there's a handful of nuggets of information. If you pull those and actually record them, and then you go over to your AI and say, I have a customer here who's extremely concerned with money, health, safety, time, noise. Then these are, and maybe even you notice that this customer, if you're even into personality assessments, you can say there is a culture index. I picked up cues that this person is a big D driver or a insecure, whatever that personality type is. These are innocuous cues. While AI is not a psychiatrist, you can say this person is really concerned about this. They had a bad experience in the past. Create some communication tips and prompts that might help me relate to that customer in a way that I didn't hear. And you probably are a level up with crafting your email, crafting your presentation, highlighting and spotlighting the things that they care most about, not the things they don't. Is that accurate way to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually in the process of working on an application right now where you can upload the estimate, but also have 3 different AI options of how you want the email written. So the first one would just be like it reads the estimate and then tries to write a human response, which is the easiest, fastest way to do it. The second option is where I have these preset options like 6 or 7, and we're going to expand on it, where they can click, empathy or price concern or different objections, the way you want that email written based on scraping and scrubbing the estimate first as well. And then the last one, which is probably my favorite option and the way I would do it, is it has 5 or 6 questions that kind of get the AI tool in the mindset of the customer. And then you can kind of put your notes in there, whether you record them or you write them down before drafting the email, to address, like, I know they're going to be concerned with price. I know they've got 2 other competitors submitting a bid. And then it writes the email with 30 seconds or less on any of those options. And then it connects with your email provider. So you could literally attach the estimate, send the email, and you can edit it. So even when the AI writes it, doesn't mean you just cut and paste it. You need to take it, make sure it's exactly what you want it to say, but it does all the heavy work for you. So you spend maybe a couple minutes editing instead of trying to write the whole email to be exactly what you want to say and reference points of the estimate. And there's certain rules, like you don't just want to blast the price in the email, because that can turn people off. And sometimes there could be a reason to do it, but most of the time I like to lead to the price, right? Or depends on the strategy I'm using. But that's just like a simple application I'm working on now, because I can manually go into my AI tools and do that every time. But how do we simplify this for our friends and our customers? And whether we make it a free resource or a very low cost resource, what would that do to the average company that just sent out better estimates or better invoices or better any type of communication with the assistance of AI, not taking over, but just improving and assisting? And that's really where I see the quickest fix. Now, I encourage everyone listening to go and play with this process on their own, and they'll be surprised how fast they might learn how to actually do it manually in Claude or Manus or ChatGPT to get just better results than what they're currently getting right now.
Awesome. Toby, you want to chime in on any of that conversation?
No, I would say, just to distill it down for those who are just getting into this, just take a PDF export from Xactimate, dump it in to whatever large language model you're using, Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, any of those, and then ask it to humanize an email to send to them, and give you some talking points, so that when you have a conversation, you've got those talking points. That's the easiest way to get started, and it'll take you 30 seconds.
And good point on that too, Toby. Also, submit emails you've personally written that you liked, that you feel are your natural tone of the way you write emails, and have it evaluate that when it's putting that in. So you can go into almost any LLM, create a project folder, and in that project folder, that's where those chats for that particular topic. So if it's writing estimate, you go in and create a project folder, put some example emails that you really like. And then you could even create an SOP of how to read an Xactimate estimate if you want to make it even more specific of what to focus on to avoid objections that might be coming. Now, again, this gets more advanced, but you got to start thinking, what is the customer thinking? What will the customer come back on if they're getting 2 other bids? Get ahead of those problems and make yourself available to address. I can tell you, the first person to walk through an estimate with somebody is usually the one that's going to get it. And unfortunately, just too many of our competitors in the space, they don't want to take the effort to go out and actually try to physically close it. And that's where human nature still comes into play, or human presence, to be more effective in this industry.
Well, that's what I was going to say that you said, Sean, is I think once a customer feels like a contractor, a specialist, or any service provider has listened and heard them and understood their issue, the rest is going to work itself out. But the minute they say that, I spoke for an hour to Klark Brown, and he didn't even address the things that I said were most important. I said that the person that talks me through things and then actively listens, shuts up and lets them explore it. Let the silence reign. Let them read over something. Don't interrupt. Don't oversell. I agree with you. I think that is the one. Hey, listen, I don't want to stop. This is going to be a little bit longer than unusual. If you both have a few minutes longer.
Oh, I got plenty of time.
The topic, Sean, is where I would say your strength lies, is in a topic that I think is ever more important now. Gary Vee has told us brand and reputation, and how some of this ability to turn a small, I don't care how small you are. Toby and I just recently met a restorer, and he became a student in RBA in our academy. I would say he's 2 or 3 person outfit. And dude, his social media looks like they're probably 30 people. And I'd like to talk a little around, I don't know which way that would go, but AI and these types of models have helped with creating content, with creating ideas on mixing it up. And I'd like you to spend a couple of minutes sharing your thoughts on that, where it's at, where it's going, and what today's restorer can listen to this and probably go and improve this week or next.
Absolutely. And this is really going to be a very important part for everyone listening if you really want to make an impact. Creating content calendars for a month, or creating social media guidelines, or even personal branding, or even content for your website. That is the easiest way to jump on working with LLMs or any type of AI tool. But you've got to be very specific. Like, you need to pick one tool if you're not using one actively right now, and kind of be married to that until you get comfortable with it. Then you can start trying other platforms and see if you like it better. So when you look at Gemini, Grok, ChatGPT, Claude, Manus, they all have certain strengths and they all have certain benefits. So right now, Manus is where I spend about 90% of my time. And it's running right now while we're on this interview. It's running and doing things that I assigned it to do hours ago. And it can do things from going to my email and simplify. But what I love about Manus is it actually integrates with Nano Banana from Google, which is a really good image generation tool. So if you already have graphic design work or certain image you like, or something you like that you would like your content to look like with your logo, go in, create a project folder, put your logo, and you have to name the file so AI can read it. They just don't assume it looks at it and knows exactly what it is. It will, but you want to be able to reference where to go and where to look. So the more you organize what you upload by the file name will make a tremendous difference. Well, yesterday, I had it build a full content calendar for one of my clients for the month of April. This is a very significantly large operation with multiple locations and multiple states, but they centralize everything to one social media platform. Now, that can get very difficult when you're trying to reference in different states, and it takes a lot of computing power in your head to say, okay, how do I post something in Tennessee and it's relevant in North Carolina, and maybe Georgia or Florida, depending on what states they're in. If you're a single location, it's a lot easier. Within 10 minutes, I have the most beautifully written content calendar with breakdowns for Facebook, Instagram, X. It wasn't overkill. It was very specific to what I asked it to do. It had the verbiage. It had notes to send to my graphic designer to make every image, carousel, video, what was included in that. In 10 minutes, I had the month of April already planned out. I used to have a physical person do that, and I can tell you what it put together was way better, and I gave it way less direction, to be honest with you. Now, I was like, this is really good. Can you take a stab and make the images for me? Within 10 more minutes, it made all the images, and they were damn near close to what I expected it, what I would want. But now I just went back and fine-tuned the images, and now they're perfect. So I spent a half hour from start to finish with Manus and built a client's social media schedule, content to go with it, ready for approval. So if the client wants to change anything, we still have, before April 1st, did it yesterday, still have a few days until next Tuesday to get them to approve it. And it's all ready to go. And again, that would have taken hours and hours of work, writing content, getting a graphic designer to do it, money going out. Instead, it cost me pennies on the dollar to have all that done, and I'm actually very impressed with it. And it also creates consistency. So I have the whole month planned out. I can still add stuff to it, storm events, whatever comes up, but I've got my branding consistent for the whole month, and then I can piggyback off that for the month of May, June, July, etc., and just continue to perfect that strategy. The other thing that's really important if you're doing more personal branding like myself and like you, Klark, and I'm sure Toby does, is build a knowledge base about yourself. So I have Manus every day. I have a reminder. It does it automatically. It just asks me 5 questions about me, my work, my company, and it's storing all that information in a Google Drive. So it actually connects to my Google account, goes into Google Drive and stores this knowledge base and is writing a dossier about me. So now in the future, if I'm like, hey, I want to write an article on AI and how it impacts restoration providers, it can pull my knowledge base and start outlining an article that I can co-write with my Manus agent. So all of the LLMs have the ability to do things like this. I use Manus as an example. I'm loving the output with Manus, but I strongly encourage you to try the platform, but you got to pick one and you got to commit. This is no different than working out. If you work out one time and you expect to lose 20 pounds, we all know, and we're all big boys, so we all know that's not true, right? We've got to change our diet. We got to be consistent with it, and we got to stick to the plan, right? Well, AI is no different. If you use it 1 or 2 times and you're like, this sucks, it doesn't work, well, guess what? That's the end of your AI journey, and you're never going to get the good results that we're talking about on this podcast. So you have to stay with it. You have to watch YouTube videos. You need to see what other people are doing, and you have to solve your own problems first. When you solve your own problems, like creating a social media calendar, because I know I got to do it and I don't want to pay somebody else to do it, that's when you start to unleash the power of AI and what it can really do for you.
Let me add a couple of things there. You said a lot of great stuff. I've been making notes here. I like to say that I'm probably behind on AI, but listening to you speak, maybe I'm not as behind as I thought I was. I write a lot. I write a lot of articles, blogs and newsletters, and they're all called something different, but they're basically just written pieces of op-eds. And I feed those into my Claude partner of a project for that. So again, it starts to pick up nuanced opinions, conversations I've already had that might could reference back to a previous article for cross-referencing. I think the same could be done as every podcast we've done could be fed in the transcripts. And so you're building that. Who have you talked to? Who could you reference? And again, I think that's all very, very, it sounds like it's a lot of work, but if you build a system to collect it, if you wait till you've got a 2 years worth of content, then it takes a while. But if you do that weekly or quarterly or something like that, it doesn't become a whole lot. I will tell you, your company Tier Level has a branch and a service of social media marketing, Sean. What I hear from other people that do the same thing as Tier Level, the social media marketing, whoever the rep or the assigned team is, they don't get enough information from the restores. I don't get good pictures. I get crap job site pictures sometimes, but not those that are specifically around the right content, like really what I want to showcase. They don't get enough stories. They don't have enough context of what we're doing besides the projects. What did we have a company meeting? Did we have an outing? Do we have a customer that shared a really great story? Again, I think restores fall into 2 categories now. We have some that are doing some incredible marketing, and they've hired agencies or some of them themselves. And then there's some that just feel like I'm just a restorer. I'm trying to focus on serving Mrs. Jones and widow. You can be both. It doesn't have to be, something is better than nothing. But I think that more important than ever, especially with the AEO that's coming on, agent marketing and agent engine optimization and AI, how they're being found, content is relevant if it's useful, right? We could definitely do a whole nother podcast on how to prep for that coming. But we tell a lot of people, say, do something. Don't let it be about, look at this category 3 sewage job, we tore the house apart. How about just talk about the outcome of a family that now has the state of mind of a cleaner home, or a crisis avoided, or something where people, because I think people like them. Seth Godin is a big hero of mine. People like us do things like this. Not all people are the same, but your people will see what you do through whatever channels they're watching or referrals from other people. Then they'll go check you out and say, I like Toby. I like Sean. He says a lot of stuff that I say myself. He seems to get it, or she gets it, or something like that. So I think marketing and AI has become an absolute game changer, right? The big word, but it already knows so much of that stuff. And again, feed your style in, feed what's working. I think Toby would say, if you're running analytics about what channels are optimized and what videos hit more than others, feed that in, use it. Don't keep making bad slop. Make good stuff that connects and resonates with people. So I'm sure that's a lot of lines what you're saying, and I want every restorer to know that you have to have a marketing piece to you now, because everybody else does, especially larger backed companies. Toby, what do you think about marketing of reputation and brand and reviews?
Well, yeah. So two things. One is we see it in this industry. There's some voices. I'll leave it somewhat generic, but I think if you connect dots, you kind of see where I'm going. But there are some big voices in this industry who use AI outputs exactly. It's literally just copy and paste. And the quality of the output is not humanized at all. And it comes across that way, and it comes across very inauthentic. And what happens when you do that is you're not received because people don't believe you. If you're inauthentic to start your relationship with somebody, it's not going to go well. So if you're using AI outputs directly and you're not humanizing them at all, you're not probably going to have the results that you're looking for. So just be very, very cognizant of that, of the copy paste. It's super easy. It's super simple, but it's probably not going to get you the desired results, especially if you haven't trained it on your tone and your way of doing things. I can say that I have gotten my large language model of choice to get really, really close to the way I would write, but it still misses the mark. And while I use it, and I use it heavily for some of the content that we produce, nothing goes past me without me changing paragraphs so that it sounds like me and it conveys the message that I'm trying to convey, not the large language model is trying to convey.
Toby,
and again,
do you feed that back? Toby, do you feed those edited versions back to your AI, or do you just let them go?
1,000%. No, 1,000%.
Okay, cool.
Yep, everything gets fed back. But at the end of the day, it's still a machine.
Yep.
Right?
It doesn't have feelings. I love how people think it has feelings. It doesn't have feelings.
It doesn't. Well, that was actually the point I was going to make. Is I have when I write, I'm writing from the paradigm I'm operating within today. My mood is different today than it was yesterday, potentially. So my writing will reflect that. So everything go ahead.
Oh, go on, Toby. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and the thing is, if we want to be human and if we want to build relationships on a human plane, we've got to make sure that what we're putting into the marketplace is humanized.
Absolutely. And I think that's the other thing too, is many of you that use probably ChatGPT is probably the worst. Claude can do this too, or any LLM platform. Have you ever noticed when you first use it, how much it agrees and kisses your ass?
Yeah.
Oh, I just got onto mine for doing that. It's to this day. I do use ChatGPT. It irritates the crap out of me. I'm coming to you for guidance, and you're just agreeing with everything I say. It's a terrible way to live.
You can go in the settings and tell it to not agree with you and challenge your thoughts. And a lot of people don't know that there's settings on every LLM that you can go in and give it commands of what to do and what not to do.
I've done that. It still agrees with me more times than not. It irritates the crap out of me.
We all need to be honest. Again, we have to just like anybody. It works for you. It's not your boss. I tell homeowners, your insurance company works for you. If you've got to look at AI's framework and their growth plan right now, and it's retention, they actually get to provide. They get to show investors, look how many hours, human hours people are on this thing. Because by the way, they all are now starting to drop and talk about dropping ads. The AI is about to start doing ads and replace AdWords. They they make you feel intoxicated with this, like, oh my gosh, you are a titan leader. You are a thought leader in your space. You're changing the game. No one else is even touching you. I've seen all this, and obviously it's very large on a lot of the proponents and people against it, but it's like it also finishes whatever session you have or every prompt. What else can I make for you next? And they suggest 2 or 3 things more, and you're like, oh yeah, let's do that. It just now kept you on longer, which feeds their whatever algorithm is turning into data to show investors or something.
Well,
like
it's also money. The more you use it, the more expensive it gets.
They're getting token systems, right? So a lot of people are starting to put limits because, I mean, they're running out of the AI data centers are occupied. I know Virginia, where I'm at, is a huge hotbed for places, but that's becoming a real issue. But they're going to run out of space until Elon puts them on the moon, which is
well, they're talking about why SpaceX and Grok are merging or XAI is because they can put data centers in space and cool them for practically nothing, and it'll be closer to the sun to retain the sun's energy. And I think that's brilliant. I think that's exactly where he's going with that.
Sean, did you see my post last week? Time Magazine's Person of the Year was the Skynet robot in 2025. So that was a good one. To what end? So where does this all go? That's obviously Toby is. I think people want human. I'm seeing patterns. Toby and I have actually made a dedicated effort this year. We're doing more live and in person, and the response to that has been incredible. And I think that as AI grows and creates this fatigue of slop and sameness and those things, people are starting to pick up those little cues like Toby was mentioning. We do live in-person classes. We have our Montana retreat where people just go and say, I don't want a phone or computer for a couple of days. I want to sit in the mountains of Montana with 25 other people like us to talk about things like this and bigger issues. And I think that is going to be, as Gary Vee calls it, analog. I think analog is going to come back. I think people are like vinyl came back. I think people's like, oh, we got digital music, but how about vinyl and buy a record that actually serves the artist that did it? I think it's that's where the internal humans of us want to help other humans. And I'm hoping that's the way it goes. I hope that we're doubling down on, seems like everybody's going AI and we're not. It looks like we're resisting.
I mean, I listen to records all day in my office. I've bought over 300 vinyls in the last 2 years because I love music.
What did you listen to last? What did you listen to last? What did you hear last? What was your last record?
It's actually Less Than Jake. It's a ska punk band, but I had Dave Matthews on earlier. I had I've got so a diverse group of music. Blink-182 original records from like 30 years ago. I mean, I've got stuff that goes back. My dad gave me all his old records, so I've got stuff all the way back to like Chicago and Fleetwood Mac Beatles original records. I love it. I can sit here and listen to vinyl all day.
Same. So let me ask you, I know we've gotten really off topic here. Have you introduced a lot of these old musics to your daughter? Because my daughter's older than yours. So Emily's 22. She's now, I've got her listening to Radiohead, the Smiths, Blink-182. She doesn't like Blink, but she likes Smashing Pumpkins and some of it, not all. So it's really it's really cool to share. I think music today, a lot of it's garbage. That's probably what old people say.
It's automatically produced. It's AI getting into it. It's just not original anymore.
I think some of those timeless things that they hear online, they're like, oh, that's the person, that's the band. So I'm glad that have you introduced ska punk to your daughter?
Yes, I've actually, since she was 4, I started taking her to concerts. I used to, part of Tier Level, used to work with a music artist, signed artist, and she's gotten a tour and see that side of it up close. I remember when she was 6 years old, I was at a Blink-182 show backstage, and she got to FaceTime with Travis Barker and Mark Hoppus from Blink-182, and that was probably the coolest thing ever. Like she's sitting there talking to them on FaceTime, being shy at 6 years old. So she never knew how good she had it with music, but now she listens to everything from Cher. Her mom got her into Cher, to Bon Jovi, to the Beatles. I mean, she loves it all. And then modern punk, pop, whatever. And then she's introducing me to stuff I don't know about. So it's kind of a full circle. But to kind of get back to the topic, I know we got to wrap up soon. I it's funny. I started as a digital marketing agency as tier level, and we're actually moving to what we call human driven AI powered. I always get it mixed up, where every piece of software, because we're moving more to replace the agency. The digital marketing agency is not going to exist in 10 years, 5 years, maybe even 2 years of what it is today. We see a lot of this. How often you go on Facebook or LinkedIn, water restoration lead, call me now. And it's an AI video of some hot chick that doesn't even exist, or a dude. And you're just like, this is crap to pay $500, $1,000 a lead. That's not how AI works. That is the shitty old 10-year-old model, which you'll never see tier level do stuff like that. But human driven AI powered, every software we build has to be approved and authorized by a human. It also has to have editing capabilities. So where we're focused right now is revenue recovery, like how to perfect that. Review management, not like all the shit on the market that I was unbelievably mesmerized that it is a multi-billion-dollar market in the review generation market. And it's overpriced. It's not efficient. They add stuff. Like, listen, restorers, contractors, they just want to get their customers to say, yes, were you happy or not? And that's why we're launching a product in the next month in beta called Were You Happy, that focuses on communicating with the customers and doing the follow-up to get the review. Reputation is so critical with AI, and your Google business profile is more important than it's ever been. Here's the fact. If you're not getting Google reviews consistently, I don't care if you have 500 or 1,000. If you go 30 to 60 days, Google starts making you irrelevant now. The consistency of reviews is what matters now. So we want to continue to solve these problems, but the human operators have to have some type of human interaction and authority to make these products work. And that's really where we want to continue to solve those problems. We want to work ourselves out of business as an agency and be that human-driven, AI-powered marketing solution in the future, because you're going to see marketing agencies die like you've never seen before in the next 6 to 12 months, and it's coming sooner than they realize.
Well, so let me touch on that. I think reviews are incredibly consistent. All of that. We are on the same page there. Some people do it better than others. What I see when I ask people, why are you not getting good reviews? Well, the people that are out front line, the technicians aren't being, they're not, again, we go back to leadership. We're spending a lot of time on documenting for the insurance company, but not enough time building a relationship with the customer. That when, you know how I used to get reviews from our companies, Sean, on our statement of work complete at the bottom was a QR code. You're captive at an end of an emotional experience. Looks like we did everything right. Do you have any questions? Did we leave anything? Let's walk around, make sure nothing's left unturned. Here at the bottom, maybe just a little prompt. It's so important for us to help more people in our market and to be seen. Could you take a few minutes while we're just here, hold your phone over it, and people will do it. It's when you wait 2 or 3 weeks and it's out of, they got new problems. There's a insurance, reconstruction started and there's problem. I don't think, and again, use some AI. I think there's incredible ways to do it, but nothing better than the person that helped them for 3 to 5 days, asking them, even up front. I know in our onboarding, tell them in the beginning, I'm going to be working for a 5-star review, and you're going to hear me talk about. I'm going to mention that that's my outcome that I want. So don't be disturbed by me asking you. It's that important to our company. And then here we come at the end and say, remember, I told you I was getting for a 5-star, and I invited you to tell me if I ever deliver less than. Here's that point where I'd like you to let's make a quick review for Google. It means the world to my company and their families of everybody that works there. That's
Clark,
that's humanistic.
That right there is going to be, I might even have you do a little video of that little snippet you just did for this new company we're launching for review management. You're right. You go on every job. It should be, listen, I am committed to give you a 5-star experience from start to finish. At any time, if I don't deliver that 5-star experience, will you please let me know so I can correct it immediately for you?
Yeah.
And if every technician, crew chief, production manager, owner, anybody involved in that business from picking up the phone to the end of the job said those words, it would revolutionarily change the industry. And that's not an AI problem right there. That's a human problem.
It's a human problem.
I always go one step further, and I say I'm going to deliver 6-star service, but I'm going to settle for a 5-star review.
Yeah.
Damn it, Toby, you one-upped us. Now I got to change everything.
He's a one-up guy. Listen, Sean, let's do that. Let's have a separate conversation about, again, none of this is hard to do. This is all probably what in our heads we wish we were doing.
Here's the thing. We didn't even talk about, we talked about high level how to do the things today with AI, but I mean, this could be something where we might need the audience at some point in the future. Maybe we can give them more like actual tutorials. Like, you know, this is knowledge that's available to everybody. They can go learn it on their own. But the more we can do to help the industry like that, when I go back to say out care, out educate, that's a big deal to me. That is where my passion lies. It's not about revenue. My goal this year, it's always been a revenue goal for my company. My goal this year is to help 150 individuals, whatever that looks like. It could be one person that owns a company with 150 million a year in revenue, or it could be one person starting a business out of college. I don't care. If I can help 150 people be successful, whether it's using AI, better business decisions, or anything, that's where my company will thrive. And ever since that mantra from January 1st has been implemented, we haven't stopped growing. So we're creating new products. We're getting the right attention, the right opportunities. So I am very excited about the future and being able to also network with individuals like yourself. Klark, Toby, you guys get it. And it's just so refreshing to see people with a platform like you both talking about what needs to be talked about and not just fluffing it and saying, okay, everybody use AI. If you don't use AI, you're not going to be existent in 2 years. No, we're talking about how to use it, why to use it. We got to get to the nitty gritty, or people don't understand it. They're going to push it away and they're going to end up failing because we failed to communicate it properly to them.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah.
You know, Sean, we have a Restoration Business Academy, which is, again, it's not just a library of stuff. It's a community, and we invite in experts at different things where we're not super strong to have these kind of conversations. So why don't we, in the next couple of weeks or month or so, look at how we can figure out a very actionable point, like you just talked about, how front to back, how to increase your chances to get reviews on 70% of your interactions with customers. And we could just do that. It's a 20 or 30 minute deal, and then leave a freaking transcript so someone can take it back and do their own training with their team saying, I just watched these 2 or these 3 of Toby's on there. I watched these 3 guys, just the very thing that we've been struggling with. They just made it sound easy. Let's see if we can't do it starting next week. And that's what I want. And that, you talk about helping 150 people, that can help 200 people in that one viewing. And that's the compounding interest of that. But I think Maya Angelou said it. People don't remember what you did for them. They remember how you made them feel. And if a customer felt heard, if you pet their puppy, if you talked about their begonias in their front yard, that's an instant magnet for like, okay, this is my people. And AI can't do that. And again, there's a right lane for AI. Use it, maximize it. And then there are places where they need Sean, they need Toby, where that's what people are hoping they get out of it. So all great stuff. You guys are incredible. Sean, if you can clear your schedule in June, I want you to come out to Montana with us to our retreat. I can get you the link, but we have a real small group. This would probably be a great around the fire conversation with some people that would contribute to your opportunity, your mission to grow some humans this year. But for everyone else watching, that link will be at the bottom. Toby, we had a bunch of people join last week and get seats. I think we still have some room. If you're watching this, and this is being recorded the end of March, I predict it'll sell out mid to late April, but you'll know when you hit that page. But it's really, we just do it once a year. I wish we did it 4 times a year, but it's a great deal. Check us out. I'm going to leave Sean's information, tier level. If you liked what he talked about, you've got some great options there. Let's start with a phone call to see where the gaps are and have a discovery call. Same thing with us. If you're just struggling with something in your business, clear the road, get it out of the way so you can move on to the next thing. Don't dwell on it, and don't spend the next 365 days wishing that we're fixed, because that's money leaking from your business. But hey, both of you, incredible. Thank you, Sean. And this turned out exactly you might get the record for the longest podcast. So
we could have gone another 3 hours, but I want to close with this. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this topic because I'm very passionate about it, and I absolutely reconnecting Klark because it has been some time since we've got to go in depth, and it just shows like why we're all better together, solving problems, working together. I'm going to end with a quick story about a friend of mine named Keith, and Keith is an inventor. He created a product called Airwall, which many people in the industry are familiar with, inflatable containment, and he's an inventor. He has over 20 patents, done stuff outside of the industry he's in now, and he works hard. And he was the most anti-AI, and he's in his 40s, so he's not super young, super old. And he was very resistant against AI and the principles of AI. And I started, the one thing I told him, and it changed everything with the way he thought about AI, is talk to it like another person. And this is where ChatGPT is probably still the better side of everything. Is when you put it on the talk mode or the vocal mode, it's not like it just records your voice and then uploads. It actually talks to you better than Siri does, which Apple really missed the boat on that, which I think nobody would disagree. But he started doing that to solve like design problems or marketing problems or any type of situation in his business. And he called me a few weeks later and said, I can't believe how much different I look at AI now because I just simply talk to it like another human. I don't talk to it like a robot, whether I'm typing it or talking to it. So I encourage everyone, and again, I know I was shitting on ChatGPT earlier, but go to ChatGPT, use the audio version of it on a long drive or you're sitting in traffic and just talk to it for 20, 15 minutes of an idea or a problem you're looking to solve and see what happens after that 15, 20 minutes. And I promise you, if you don't feel like it's moved the needle in a positive direction, reach out to me, find me online, Sean Michael Lewis. I'm not hard to find. And tell me I was wrong, because Keith's story just lives in my heart because he's also a good friend of mine, but to see him transform and embrace artificial intelligence and the way it should be used after being a kind of a resistant to it, it's changing the future of his business and everything he's doing. And he's going to be super successful because of it. So guys, I really appreciate this time today. And I would absolutely love to be in Montana. I heard that's an incredible event. It'd be like a homecoming, Klark, just to see you again and everybody else that we might have networked with over the years. But I think this industry, anything I can do to support and be a part of the industry, I'm there.
I appreciate you being on. Toby, any closing words? Are you good?
I'm good, man. Been a great conversation. Great conversation.
Yeah. We're gonna have a lot of conversations following this one. I can tell comments usually come in. People tell us their version of how they're using it, and we'll circle back and maybe we'll do a 2.0 version of this in a month or two. And if we have enough feedback. All right. You guys have an incredible day.
Take care, guys.
Thank you very much.